Depression to me is a rock on your back. It is a feeling of just sadness, loss of energy, just a weight that is just hard to carry on your own. And it affects everyone around you.
Yeah.
And I get a call one day from my brother who, has been depressed. He was feeling sad and stuff like that, missing home. And I get a call from him one day, and he's like, I just want to let you know I love you, and goodbye. I said, whoa, what's going on? What do you mean by this? And he's like, I'm on top of a parking garage.
If you are into content that inspires, surprises, and sticks with you, hit that subscribe. Turn on those notifications, and let's get busy. Welcome back to JBZ Media, the show where we talk openly about real life mental health challenges and the ways we can better support one another. Today's episode touches on a sensitive but deeply important topic: a family member's battle with severe depression that almost led to a tragic outcome. Many families face similar struggles in silence, unsure how to help or even how to start the conversation. Joining me today is a special guest, not only a friend, but also my colleague in the medical field. He's here to share his personal experience and insight into supporting a loved one through such a difficult time. Welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Douglas Bailey, and I am a psychiatric RN.
To initiate this discussion, I would like to ascertain your definition of depression.
So, for me, first of all, thanks for letting me be on here. I really do appreciate it.
Yes.
It's wonderful to talk about this and so everyone can hear it. Depression to me is a rock on your back. It is a feeling of just sadness, loss of energy, just a weight that is just hard to carry on your own. And affects everyone around you, whether you know it or not. And I think that's something that people don't realize is that it affects. It's so strong on one person that it can bring an entire family down, or even an entire group of friends down. I think it's super important to talk about because there's a statistic, you can look it up online. It was saying that 1 in every 5 adults in the United States have some kind of mental health disorder, whether it's anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. So, most friend groups are 10 to 15 people. So 2 or 3 people in your friend group or even your family are dealing with some form of mental health. So I think it's important to understand what we're looking for and how we as a lay person, like someone who's not in mental health, can approach and help their friend or family.
Yeah. So what kind of effect does family members' depression have on a family dynamic?
So I'm gonna go into a little story here. I'm a mental health nurse. As you are as well. And I grew up with a brother and a mom who dealt with depression and bipolar.
Yes.
So when I was in nursing school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then my brother was also in school. He was getting his master's in history at the University of Alabama. And I was here in Texas, in Houston. And I get a call one day from my brother who, has been depressed. He was feeling sad and stuff like that, missing home. And I get a call from him one day, and he's like, I just want to let you know I love you, and goodbye. I said, whoa, what's going on? What do you mean by this? And he's like, I'm on top of a parking garage. So if you're not familiar with the University of Alabama, it's a huge football school, and they have a huge stadium that fits, I think, over 100,000 people. And because of it, it has I think it's about 5-story parking garage, it's very huge. Wow. And he climbed to the top, and he was gonna end his life. And he was on the phone, and I said, hold up. So I got him to hold for a minute. I got my mom on the phone with the police, and so we kind of tag team. And she was working with the police trying to figure out where he was, and I was trying to keep him off the ledge. not, not metaphorically, actually off the ledge.
So this time, okay, when this happened, you in Houston.
Yeah, I am on the phone. I am
You
in
in
nursing
Houston.
school. I'm in Houston, Texas. I am a
Oh man,
1,000 miles away.
Alabama is a different state. Oh my God, that's like miles and miles.
It is a 15-hour drive.
50, yeah, I know.
We found that out after the fact. Um, and yeah, so I pretty much it was a harrowing experience because I was dealing with my own depression at the time. I'm in nursing school. Nursing school is a lot of stress.
Stress, yeah.
And truly at that moment I look back at it and it was kind of I kind of lied, honestly. Like at that time it was hard to convince someone, not to hurt themselves when you are feeling down yourself, but like I found this like inner peace for a moment to convince him like, hey, we love you. There's people who care about you. This is not the solution. This is not who you are, who you want to be.
How long ago was this?
This is about 7 years ago.
7 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, he was 22 and I was 20. So I wasn't even I wasn't even a real adult yet.
Yeah.
I was still a child in most eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I eventually got him focusing on stuff that he liked and trying to bring him back to good memories. And it was about, I want to say 10 or 15 minutes, and then the police got him and they brought him to the ER. He was able to go to a hospital and get that taken care of. But
So prior to that, did he show any signs or indications?
yeah. So one thing that like people should look out for in any kind is just kind of, first things first is desocialization, right? Like they stop calling as much if they're not in the same state. They stop canceling plans when you make plans with them, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So he wasn't calling home as often. He wasn't talking to me as much.
Yeah.
And then the last time I did see him, it was a couple months before that happened, and he seemed kind of off, kind of withdrawn, more flat. We understand a flat affect, but like he just was kind of emotionless,
Yeah.
And I know prior to that he was making comments of like, wouldn't things be easier if I was gone? He also was like asking if I wanted his like, so he plays like a game, like a figurine game. So he was like, hey, do you want this figurines? I'm not gonna need them anymore. I'm thinking about quitting.
Yeah.
And those are like, looking back now, those are telltale signs he was thinking of suicide at that time. But as I had my own issues. I didn't think about it.
What triggered him to have all those suicidal ideations?
So
And why he came up with the plan?
So his main trigger at that time was stress, right? Because he's in a different place, away from his family.
All your family are here. At the
Yeah,
time.
all my family is either in Texas or Kentucky.
In Kentucky. Okay.
So we had no one in Alabama, no one to go to. He really didn't have many friends to talk to, and you add not being able to talk to your friends that you were normally talking to in Houston, and crippling debt from student loans and stress of failure, because like master's degree programs are, especially when it's like something as hard as like history or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress on someone, and he's kind of a product of his own of his upbringing. He was bullied a lot as a kid. Didn't have a lot of friends as a kid, so like he didn't. There's a lot of like lack of socialization as well. So he didn't really have any good coping skills. So when this gigantic stress came to him, there was nothing protecting him. He had no coping skills to protect himself. He had no friends to go to, and like I was one of his main rocks. And at that time, I was kind of ignoring him, and I feel, looking back on it, I feel real bad about it. But I was dealing with my own stress, so I wasn't talking to him as much.
Yes.
And I was one of his, support people.
Yes.
So he was pretty much a knight fighting a dragon without any armor.
So what kind of changes did your family members came up with to pretty much improve the situation? He's still in Alabama.
Yeah. So what happened is after he was hospitalized and got stable.
Yeah.
Well, during that time, my mom, I was in school, I couldn't go. My mom went up to Alabama and pretty much was there taking care of his apartment. When he got out, was taking care of him until the semester was over.
Uh-huh.
So pretty much, she was like 24 hours there providing support, and then when the semester was over, he moved back to Houston.
How is his life now?
So I mean, there's definitely that was a huge effect on his life. He ended up not finishing his masters. It was just too much stress.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's living with my family. I believe he does insurance. So he's getting up some savings so he can get a place on his own. But he's in the Houston area, so I try to keep up with him every week. I think looking back on that cornerstone in my life, like in his life and my life.
Yeah.
I feel like it affected our relationship a lot, and it really made me think. It really made me put in perspective how much we all affect everyone else's mental health, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because like I said, I wasn't there for him when he
Mhm.
needed me most, and
Mhm.
and that's a huge regret in my life. And I'm glad he's okay, and I'm glad he's safe, and I'm glad I can, go mess with him on weekends and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and joke with him and now and I just like if I felt like there's like a guilt almost. Like I felt like if I would have talked to him more, maybe that wouldn't happen. His life would have been different, and I have to kind of live with that. And I've talked to it with my own therapist and like other people. Like, is this a burden on? Like, is it something that I should carry? Is it something I should feel bad about? And I think at the end of the day, I don't think I should, like, but it's still a difficult thing I have to live with, right?
Yeah.
But I try to be a support system now,
Mm-hmm.
and in the aftermath of that,
Mhm.
when he moved back to Houston, I kind of overcorrected. I was like too much in his business, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, how you doing? Like every day in his
Mhm.
business, and I think that like as the years went on, we found a good balance of like boundaries of each other's space and understanding
Mm-hmm.
when we can reach out to each other when we need help. And I think we're at a good spot in our relationship now, and we have good boundaries. So like, I check up on every week, make sure he's taking medications. I check on him, and I try to see him at least every week, and we talked about it, and we're like, listen, if you're feeling like that bad, please reach out to me. But understand that sometimes when you're just feeling sad,
Mm-hmm.
I might be dealing with something too, and you have to understand that
Yeah.
sometimes if it's an emergency,
Mhm.
always give me a call. But sometimes if I'm dealing with something, you have to give me a little space until I can absorb your stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I think we have a really good relationship now and good understanding of boundaries.
Wow. Could you please share some potential indicators and manifestations that a family member might observe in another family member who is experiencing severe depression, which could unfortunately lead to a tragic outcome?
I think we talked about it a little bit. The main things
Mm.
is if they start giving away stuff, or we're saying that they want to quit hobbies or like things that they enjoy a lot. So,
Mhm.
for example, like let's say your kid's really into football and he's like, I quit the football team. I'm done with football. Out of the blue, that would be kind of a red flag, like a sign, or like, hey, I really love these cards, but I'm giving them away to people, or like I'm giving away my favorite shirt or my favorite stuff. That's kind of a red flag that they're starting to think I'm about to end my life, and I want to get things right before I do that. That's a clear red flag.
Yeah.
I think we also spoke on a little bit earlier, like desocialization, canceling plans, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Sleeping a lot, staying up real late. That could be another sign that they're just not they're feeling depressed, things of that nature.
Mhm.
Things like that. Also, quitting jobs abruptly. or quitting school abruptly. Any like major changes with with a change in emotion and mood is usually like a big indicator that they're planning on something, and that's usually when you need to step in for sure.
So those are things that we do, are things that we need to be more observant on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the few positives of social media, is that people post things all the time, and you know, like I said, we're in mental health, and we've seen a lot of people. It starts with a social media post. If you see like a social media post of like goodbye or things of that nature, that's like another sign of like they're trying to hurt themselves. You need to get over there. You need to get call the police if you need to, stuff of that nature. But yeah, no. Usually, most people. I mean, again, I don't want to generalize too much, but most people will have a sign that they want to hurt themselves, or they want to end their lives.
Yeah. So what do you think is important for us to discuss about this?
Well, I just think it's important that people know like what depression can look like, and what suicide ideations look like, and what you should do in that situation. So let's for example, let's say like I text you like, hey, goodbye, Job, forever. What you should do? Well, first things first, you should always try to get a hold of the person, right? And again, these are kind of like general things that like I've seen as like me myself as someone who's dealt with this, and as a mental health professional. You should always try to make sure that they're in a safe place and try to find them. If you can't, then always call 911. I try, and this comes from like a personal thing, even though whenever someone's going through this, because again, it happened it happened a couple more times where the situation happened, and I always find it best to physically get them in a safe space, and try to convince them to go into a mental hospital. I try not to call 911 unless it is a complete and utter emergency. They're not answering their phone, or you can't get a hold of them. Then I would call 911, because I try not to get ERs involved with mental health, because you're probably aware of this as well. Whenever 911's called, like, yes, they get them safe, but when they're in the ER for anywhere from 3 to 7 days, in like almost pure isolation, away from their friends and family. So if you have a family member that's suffering, and you feel like they're in an unsafe situation, please call 911. But if you can physically be with them, I think it's always best to convince them to go voluntary into a psychiatric facility straight away, and try to keep out of the ER. Don't you agree? It's just like I've had so many horror stories from my brother, and from patients that I've talked to at hospitals. It's just like being just in pure isolation with no blankets, nothing, just completely almost dehumanized. And I think that's like a major issue in our mental health system, in our healthcare system right now in the U.S., is that I don't think there's enough people like you and me who are talking about this openly, and like talking about what we need to do in those kind of situations. And I don't think there's enough empathy or money that goes into like mental health and understanding mental health, and then people just get dehumanized, and it becomes like a numbers game, almost like cattle, just herding cattle from one place to another. And honestly, frankly, it's very disheartening. I really don't know, besides for spreading awareness, what we can do as a society to prevent that kind of dehumanization that
You mean like when they're in a hospital, we take away all their property, clothing, things like that?
Yeah. So I'm not
safety,
talking
for safety purpose?
Well, not for safe. For safety, but there's also like when I'm talking about like that, I'm talking about like ER. So let me go explain a little more. So, when my brother was sent to the ER that first time, right? So he had no idea what was going on.
He never been to a psych hospital.
Never been to a psych hospital. Never been to ER for any emergency situation. They just ripped him up. So what he told me was that they ripped all his clothes off him. He was completely naked in the ER. They put paper scrubs on, which is normal protocol. But there were some, you don't rip clothes off someone. There's a better way of doing that kind of stuff.
Oh yes.
And And then he was asking why he can't wear pants. He was confused and not understanding, and he was immediately in the ER, just jammed with Haldol and Benadryl.
Also, they didn't do a better job of explaining
what was going on.
What was going on, yeah.
Which is, I think, something that works really well in mental health hospitals and what doesn't work in ERs. Because in ERs, whenever, and I've seen this firsthand as both a nurse and as as someone at the ER. Sometimes they're like, oh, it's just a mental health patient. We just got to get them out of here. They don't treat them with any humanity.
Yes.
And that's what happened to my brother. He felt like he was an animal trapped in a cage.
There's always this stigma. Anytime mental health patient comes to medical hospital or ER, they assume that he's aggressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. He was confused and asking questions, and they said, "Oh, you're aggressive," and gave him a shot. And he was just like, "What is going?"
They're not trained well for to deal with those kind of patients. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the training that gets in mental health and mental health nurses and mental health techs and hospitals, and that's why I try to advocate if your family's depressed or they're showing signs of that they might be suicidal, take them to a mental health hospital, because that's where we're trained to take care of those patients.
Therapeutical approach, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no funding for the training for ER nurses on how to deal with mental health. There's not a lot of training for police officers in dealing with mental health, and it leads to those experiences like my brother did when they're just completely confused and just jabbed up with chemicals and put in a different situation. And he said he didn't feel human, and like it. I think that we as a society should be aware of this situation that happens. And I've seen it happen even when I went to ER for I had to get stitches, and I saw that happen. So when they were just asking questions, and they were bam, boom, and then just it was, I honestly, it was mind-boggling to me. And I talked to an ER nurse that I knew, and they're like, yeah, they don't really train us on anything. There's no de-escalation techniques. There's no active listening. There's nothing going on, and it's just it's. I don't know. I'm speechless. I just.
I work in a medical hospital, and I know what's going on. There's always tension, fear, stigma.
Yeah, and because it's just lack of training. It's just lack of empathy. It's just lack of empathy as well, and I really think that if ERs had more funding and an actual mental health person on staff, like either a therapist or a mental health nurse practitioner or a psychiatrist.
That's a good point. Yeah,
that
is always on call or someone. Yeah,
I feel like this wouldn't be as much of an issue, and I feel like people would be more open with their mental health if they knew there was more empathy waiting for them on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So what are some of the phrases or behaviors that can make things worse unintentionally?
Ooh, I heard people say walk it off, or it's not real. That was one thing my dad had to learn a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
And I think from who he was when it first began to where he is now is completely different. Because when my dad grew up very conservative, and so to him, or at least to my understanding of how he acted, it was kind of like mental health's not real, just the old, rub some dirt on it, walk it off,
yeah.
Where
some psychological stuff.
It's to him it wasn't a disease.
If I went through this and this how I managed my stresses.
That exact.
So shut up and.
just shut up and be happy, man. What are you doing?
Happy, find happiness somewhere.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that a lot of, especially people my parents' age in the 50s and 60s, kind of feel. I feel like the generation that I'm in, I'm in my 20s. Yeah. We understand that mental health is a disease, right? It's not something. It's not just oh, I'm sad. It's an actual disease.
True.
And I feel like us as a society is getting better about it, but I still see, family members say, just walk it off, or hey, just stop sulking. That's not the right approach to talk to your family members. The best way I can explain is just listen. If your family member is having an issue, the best thing you can do is listen.
Listen.
Not
Yeah,
try.
like I say, sometimes these guys, they just want someone to listen to
Yeah.
their story,
That's all
to
they
listen
want.
to their feelings, to show empathy. The small things like that.
10 minutes of listening can do a lot more to save someone's life.
Very therapeutic, yeah.
Yeah, than any antibiotic or antidepressant sometimes. It's
true.
we as humans crave connection and we crave community.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, one of the things that people can do to save someone's life is listen.
Listen, yeah.
Like cutting people off of like of like how they're feeling, or just like telling them to shut up, or just like ignore it, that could cost someone's life. And like in that, when we had, going back to my brother's situation, I listened to what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have said, hey man, just walk it off, he wouldn't be with us today.
Yeah, that could have made things worse.
And yeah, and what I mean
Has he ever talked about it?
We have talked about it. I think we had not recently, but I know after, when he moved back to Houston, we talked about it, and it was just like honestly, it was like a couple of phrases of like, I love you, I appreciate you doing that, and just like a long silence and embrace of just like, it was like a 5-minute just hug and this like crying session of just like, I'm glad you're alive and I'm glad you're here today.
So are there any cultural influences that are affecting people or causing an increase in depression?
I think a lot of it has to do with my old nemesis, social media.
Social media,
It's just like, I think one thing that people don't realize is like, I'm not trying to be too political, obviously.
Bring it out. Bring it on.
I feel like there's, a lot of hot topics of today is like, depression, suicide, trans, being gay, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it just came out in the last 15, 20 years. Back in my day, there was no people who were depressed, no people who were, trans or gay or anything of that nature. Yeah. And that's not true. We see more of it because we see everyone's lives.
Social media. Now everything is social media.
I can see what's happening across the world when pick up on my phone.
Yeah.
So it's not that all this stuff always existed. It just wasn't as known because it wasn't exposed to people.
Yeah.
And now that's being exposed to people, it's always existed since the dawn of time.
Do you think social media is a good thing or bad thing?
I think it is the worst thing in the world. I hate it with all my heart and soul. I think that it's been manipulated in ways that makes people feel bad. I think that it has some bright spots, but I think overall it's just used for other people's agendas, and I feel like it pushes a lot of more harmful things to us than it does good things.
Okay. So, in your own opinion, do you think people go through depression differently?
I think so, because again, everyone has different stressors. I mean, most people have like the same, biological things going on, but everyone has different situations. Everyone has different stressors in their life. For him, it was school. For some people, it could be financial. Some people, it could be
marriage, divorce.
Yeah, exactly. That we've seen a lot of people that would be the main cause is like loss of relationships or loss of family members. Parents who have lost children too soon, or children who lost parents too soon, things of that nature.
Yeah. Man, you're going deep, man. I'm learning a lot from you, man. So, what roles do boundaries play supporting someone with depression?
So I think we covered a little bit about it, but like I think whenever you have someone who's like a family member or a friend who's depressed, right? We some people have like the responsibility, like, oh, I need to save them, and whenever you bring you try to take someone's problems, you're adding to your problems, and some people can handle it. Some people have a very strong resilience and can do it, but some people are going through their own problems and can't take on everyone's problems. So I think whenever you're trying to help someone, it's good to understand what you can handle and what you can't, right? So with me and my brother, going back to our boundaries, right? Like, I can only handle so much. I will always be there, and I told him I will always be there in emergencies. If you feel like you're gonna hurt yourself, please call me, text me, email me, Skype me, do whatever you need to get a hold of me. Get airplane, do smoke signals, whatever you need. But like, and if when you want to talk to me, you need to be like, hey, are you okay to listen to my problems? Because like, if I'm going through a bad day, I'm not going to be able to handle his problems as well. That's only going to make my mental health worse. And it's not a selfish thing. It's just understanding how much you can take as a person, because you're a human too. We all have our own problems.
Yeah.
And so like, whenever you're on the path of recovery with a family member, it's good to understand what you can handle and express that to your family member or friend.
Okay. So as someone that's gone through these experiences, with your brother, right? So what message would you share with families currently going through these kind of struggles?
I think my main message is listen, don't judge, understand, and make sure that they have. If you cannot be a good support system, if you don't have the wherewithal to be their support system, that you help them point in the path of people who can, like trained therapists, psychiatrists, things of that nature. It just goes back to know what you can handle and do what you can, but don't overstep and at the cost of your own mental health as well.
Man. Okay, you say listen. You say 4 things very important. Listen.
Sometimes I just talk and I keep going.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Listen, don't judge.
Don't judge.
Understand what you can do to help and point people in the right direction of if you can't give them help.
So how can we as a community make it easier for people to talk about mental health?
I mean, right here, right now, talking and showing, like, telling your story and making it known, and just like, I encourage people who have dealt with depression or suicidal thoughts, like, it doesn't always go away. People sometimes are chronically depressed their whole lives, and I think it's important to express how you're feeling and be able to share your story and insights like we're doing right now, so that people understand what they need to look for. And I feel like we as a society should educate our children about mental health, and understanding how important it is to socialize, to set boundaries with people, and to communicate openly and freely. And I feel like we as a society have failed in a lot of spots on that. And I feel like stuff like this is really important.
During your nursing school experience, what motivated you to specialize in psychiatric nursing rather than pursue other areas within the field?
Again, it just comes down to, like, I felt like I had the patience and the heart to care for these people, because like seeing how my brother was treated devastated me, and I felt like the only way I could make a difference was to not be that person, and be in mental health, and be the ear that people can talk to and feel like they're being listened. And like, I felt like a personal charge.
And I've seen your work ethic.
Like, I think I found in our line of work that it's a good line of boundaries and empathy, and I try to ride that line the best I can, and making sure that people are heard, but not in a way that professional boundaries are being destroyed. It sounds corny, but it in my heart, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Man, Mr. Douglas, that's all we have. Thank you.
Hey man, it was a pleasure to be on here, Joe. I really love what you're doing here, man. I think what you're doing is super important, and I'm really happy.